me? Osi, can you hear me?
Hello? Hello?
You're welcome. You're welcome, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma. How are you, ma? Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Fantastic. So I will just run through my current thoughts on the event.
Okay, great.
So I'm thinking that you start the session and welcome your people because they know you.
Okay.
Welcome them, and then afterwards you can now introduce Mrs. What's her name? Mrs. Adenike Adeyemi.
Okay.
The Executive Director for Faith Foundation.
Okay.
So she can speak generally to the subject, and then for about 20 minutes, we can take a few questions for her, 5 minutes, and then I'll go on my session.
Okay. All right, brilliant.
Does that work for you, sir?
Yeah, excellent, excellent. So recapping, I do the introductions. Welcome, Mrs. Adenike Adeyemi.
Yes.
She speaks on the topic. We take Q&A for like 5 minutes. While she speaks for like 2 minutes. Or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
How many minutes are we giving to her?
Like 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Okay. Then
20.
We take Q&A for 5 minutes.
Yes.
Hello. Okay. Then we'll come to your session. What's the title of your session?
I'm here, sir.
Sorry?
It is still effective fundraising strategies. So I will just speak generally and then I'll drill down to crowdfunding.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right. Okay, I got you covered.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I had spoken to her and she had said she had a session, but she will try to join in for this session late. But notwithstanding, I think with this general understanding, I think she should be.
Sorry, who is joining late? I lost you for a bit. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I lost you for a moment. Who is joining late?
Yeah, Mrs. Adeyemi. Okay, so I said in general understanding. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Please recap what you said the other time, please.
Okay, so she'll be joining us a bit. I said she's joining this session a bit late. She has another session going.
Okay. So you can start then, is it?
She's joining this dry run a bit late because she has another session ongoing now.
Yeah, I get that. So by 1 p.m., say we start like say 1:05. I hope she would have joined us by then. Otherwise,
yes, that's fine. Start by 1:05. What keeps scenario 110?
Okay, that sounds good. That's fine.
Fantastic. So I'm sure she would have some slides. So both of us will share our screens. At different points.
That sounds good.
So once my network permits, I have sent you to your WhatsApp and myself.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hey, you're welcome, ma'am.
Sorry, hi, good afternoon.
Hello, good.
Mrs. Adeyemi, you're welcome.
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Fantastic. So we're
Sorry, the line was breaking a bit.
I said thank you for joining us. I think we're
Okay, great.
fine.
Fantastic.
So
Yes. My pleasure.
the attendees are joining us.
Fantastic.
So Mr. Mr. You have a floor, sir.
Yes, I had a question. Sorry, or rather a comment. Please, I have a hard stop at about 12:50. I have a meeting at 2 o'clock with Mr. Della that I need to jump off and prepare. So
12:50, right?
yes, 12:50. Sorry,
That's 10 minutes to
1:50.
1. I think that's fine.
Okay.
At 10 minutes to 1, I think that's fine.
10 minutes to 2. Let me just test sharing my screen. Yeah. Okay. So can everybody see my screen?
So I'll do the introductions.
Okay, great.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Great.
Nọ́mbà tá a fi sí ẹni ọ̀dọ́ ń ṣe títí àwọn kọ́nà kan àti tiwa.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, distinguished participants, and good afternoon to our panelists. My name is Oyebisi Oluseyi, and let me welcome you all to our session today around how we can fundraise effectively. The theme itself is effective fundraising strategies for nonprofits. And I have very distinguished panelists this morning who will do justice to this theme. Let's dive straight into the session. And I will start by introducing Mrs. Adenike Adeyemi, who has 18 years experience in nonprofit management and is the executive director of Faith Foundation. And I'm sure when you hear Faith Foundation, you would already see that we're seeing results of the good work that she's doing in Faith Foundation. So she's one of our panelists today, and we'll be listening to her in some few minutes, discussing the theme of this webinar. Also joining her is Mrs. Peju Ibekwe, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Stellenbond Foundation. Stellenbond Foundation is the masquerade, the big masquerade behind Giving.ng. And the platform itself has a very unique structure and approach in its way of helping nonprofits to fundraise. She's also going to be speaking on the theme of the webinar today. So having said that, let me again welcome you, and I promise you that you will benefit from the two wonderful, it's still the Women Month, yeah. So from the two wonderful gentle women and ladies that we have today. I'll turn over now to Mrs. Adenike Adeyemi, who would be sharing her thought with us for 20 minutes, and after which we'll take a Q&A for some 5 minutes. Mrs. Adeyemi, you have our attention, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oyebisi. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to the Stellenbond team. Mrs. Ibekwe, thank you for the invitation. And thank you to all we're almost reaching 100 now, and I'm sure that there'll be a couple more people joining us by the time we end. I am very delighted to speak on effective fundraising strategies. And everything I am sharing is really based on my experience over the since I've been working right from when I finished university in 2001, and since 2002, I have been working with different nonprofit organizations. So everything I'm saying here is from experience, and it's from my own experience that I'm sharing with everyone. In terms of the way the conversations will go today, let me just project my screen. I hope everybody can see the slides. Please, can you see the slides?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yes, Claire.
Okay, so in terms of the outline for today, so first of all, I have to emphasize that this is to teach fundraising strategies in 20 minutes is trying to do the impossible. What I'm going to try to do, however, is to just provide you guidelines and tips of what to think about before you actually start to develop your fundraising plan, some of the tips and tools to develop your fundraising plan, and some of the important factors that you need to consider just to make sure that it's successful. And so that's really what I'll go through in the context of today. Great. So I'm a Yoruba woman, and so I usually, so pardon the non-Yoruba indigenes who are here, but I've also translated it. All of us, I can see people introducing themselves. There's so many people doing youth empowerment, health, education, across, in fact, not just even in Lagos, but in Kwara, across the country. And I really want to applaud the amazing work that you're doing. All of us that are doing nonprofit work are really doing mission-focused work. We're doing things that, we're passionate about. Some of us have set up nonprofits because of a gap that we faced ourselves or somebody who we love or a family member faced. And then we set up a nonprofit to set it up. But we all know that without money, we can't move this forward. One of my favorite quotes that when I started in the nonprofit space that I also applied to differently is I mean, this was something I used to hear growing up, but in church. But again, a lot of us are doing mission-focused work. And no matter how we think, no matter our ideals or whatever we want to achieve or the impact we want to make, everything boils down really to financial resources to be able to do that. And so I thought to start with, before going into how to develop a fundraising plan, I think that the important foundations that we all need to know and to be aware about. So I'm going to share like about 3 tips or 3 guidelines in terms of before we start to develop a fundraising strategy or fundraising plan, what are the key considerations that we need to have in mind? The first for me would be clarity around the theory of change. And all of us here should know what a theory of change is. And I'm sure if you don't know, maybe that's an opportunity for another session that the NNGO may run. I won't even be surprised if the NGO has several sessions around this. But the thing is that just as with a business that is setting up a business plan, there has to be like a product or a service that a business uses to set up a business plan. The same thing with any nonprofit organization. Because you're a mission, impact, social cause-driven organization, there is a change that you set up your nonprofit to make in the society, right? And so, or within the communities that you're in. And to be able to conceptualize that change, you want to frame it in your theory of change. And really, again, on a very high level, there's so many presentations and videos online that describe what a theory of change is. And what I've described here is really like the high level theory of change. It's really much more broken down in more details than this. But a theory of change really just states that what is the problem that I'm seeing in the society, in the community that I'm in, or in the area that I'm trying to focus on? And what are the elements of that problem? How is that problem expressed? And then what are the interventions that I think our organization, our NGO, our CBO, our social enterprise can implement to address those problems that I see? And then what are the big picture KPIs to show that the problems that we're trying to solve are being solved by the impact of our interventions, and how do all of those fit into our mission? The reason why it's important to do this is that even from a fundraising perspective, one of the first things a lot of funders want to know is alignment of your mission, your core focus with the kind of impact that they want to make, even when they're providing you fundraising support. And if you are not clear on that path, if you're not clear on your theory of change, you really don't have any business to start developing a fundraising plan. And the clearer you are on your theory of change, the clearer you are in even being able to identify partners that will support you in the different ways you can be supported. Because sometimes the way you articulate your goal or your focus may be different from the way some funding partners do. But you being able to clearly detail your problem, your interventions, and your KPIs may even make you find common objectives, may even make you even reach out to partners that are doing things around your area. So this is first for me, always the first step. If I look at Faith, for example, our own problem areas on a very high level will be around there's a lot of high unemployment and employment, and we feel that entrepreneurship is a pathway to alternative income generation for young people. There are a lot of businesses in Nigeria, but they are low growth businesses, so they can't provide the value of job creation and all of that there. And so the interventions we will do, just again in very simplistic language for the point of this presentation, is looking at things around saying we're going to provide training, capacity building, resources like funding linkages, market linkages, and all of that. And then the big picture KPIs for us will be people are able to start and grow businesses, the mortality rate of businesses reduced, young people who set up their businesses are able to generate income and employment from the businesses that they set up, and people are able to raise money. So I just use that example, and everything, all of that aligns to our mission. So once you have clarity in your theory of change, then the next thing is to develop your strategy plan. You cannot have a fundraising plan if you don't have an overall fund strategy. The same way, again, I'll use a business as an example. A business has a product and services, but then for the business to be able to understand how we can generate revenue, they also need to be clear, they also need to have a business plan. So your strategy plan as your nonprofit is really like your business plan. How am I going to implement these interventions in this area that I've talked about? So what is the program that I will do? How will I implement these programs? What kind of interventions would form under the programs? Who will I implement them to? When and how will I run the programs? So for who now, it can be a part of the country, it can be people of certain demographic segments, maybe age groups, it may be gender, it may be people in particular sectors and all of that. It may be programs of different areas. Some of us may even be doing programs that we are sub-implementing to other people. So we may do programs, but we may have to work in partnerships with other people to be able to do it. So those are the things that need to be clear in our mind, because all of that is going to detail into the fundraising plan that we do. Then also the key impact indicators. The way the fundraising space is, and I'll talk about that shortly, is that it's getting much more refined, much more focused, much more intentional. And it's not just more about outcomes. So you notice in my theory of change, I didn't say anything about outcomes. I talked about impact indicators. So people are looking less at, oh, I'm going to reach 10,000 people. I'm going to reach 20,000 girls. Yes, beyond that, what is the change that you are looking to make in your program? What is the change, your intervention? It can be change in mindset. You know, I used our example. It can be change in being able to get jobs. It can be being able to grow revenues. It can be being able to get funding. So your key impact indicators must also be very clear, because that actually forms the central part of your KPI indicators, and they are the value proposition that you use to share to the people that you're reaching out to support you. So once again, you develop your detailed strategy plan, have clarity on your methodology and how you deliver your programs, have clarity around your key impact in KPIs, and then you can now say, okay, how do I fund these different elements of the program? And then you create a strategy plan with it. So for me, first is theory of change, and second is a very detailed strategy plan that will help with that. And so now, we can now move into the main topic of conversation, which is developing your fundraising strategy. How do you now go about developing your fundraising strategy? I found out over the last 2 to 3 years, more importantly, that a lot of, when we talk about nonprofits, and I'm sure Mr. Yedile knows this, Mr. Yebisi rather knows this perfectly, it's that a lot of nonprofits don't realize that they are revenue generating organizations. They mix the term nonprofit with non-income generating. And it's important for me to say, you are generating income, you are generating revenue. The revenue can, or income, let me use the word income. The income can be from grants, it can be from donations, but it is money that comes into your business. The only difference is that you're not focused around profit, because the money you make is around impact for the organization that is now going towards the beneficiaries. Once you have mindset that you need money to do your mission, and that non-profit does not mean non-revenue generating, and it does not mean making loss. So as a non-profit, you must be able to generate enough funds to run your organization, and those funds must be more than the expenses that you're making. So it's important again, and if there's one first thing that I want to advise every one of us on this call, is that you need to take a financial literacy class. The way we tell business people to also take financial literacy classes, nonprofit leaders, more in particular, because you want to get funds, right, and support and be able to use them effectively. You can't use them effectively if you don't have financial literacy knowledge or skills on tools. So I always recommend, from when you're starting to manage programs, you're a program manager at a nonprofit, even before you become a leader, Go and take a class around budgeting, around financial management. Understand what a profit and loss statement is, or statement of account, statement of affairs. Do you understand? Understand the key non-profit reports that you need. That way it helps you to monitor, oh, okay, how is money coming in, how it's going out? Because fundraising, people that are also providing funding now, they're asking a lot of more questions also around how are you using the money? And before you can go and say, okay, the accountant will provide that information, but you as a nonprofit program manager or nonprofit program leader should also be able to engage and have conversations around how you are using the money that has been given to you to make the impact that it should be making. So the first thing is that you're developing your fundraising strategy is you have to identify your business model structure. I know that the number of the organizations represented on this platform that may not call themselves non-profit, so they'll say maybe they're an NGO, or they would say they're a social enterprise, or they would say they're a community-based organization, or they would say they're a non-profit. And this slide that I put up is important for you to help to think of your model. So we have, if you think of it, there's the traditional non-profit here, organization, which is dependent fully on grants. And then you have like the traditional business. Now, you now have the social enterprise, and I've seen a few people introduce themselves here that I know that they're social enterprise. A social enterprise sort of sits in between a traditional nonprofit and a traditional business, because then what they do is that they can take grants, but they also can charge fees with that. And so one of the new sort of trajectories I've seen in the last 5 to 10 years is that a lot more traditional nonprofits are moving towards a social enterprise model, number one. Number two, even a lot more of the funders are also requiring sustainability strategies and encouraging nonprofits to think of how to generate income in a way. And so, again, just think of where you are on this continuum. Some of us work with international organizations and agencies, and we receive sub-funding from it. And so maybe this is a good way for us to sit in. Some of us, so like Faith Foundation is sort of like is like here, because we get grants, we get funding support, but we also earn some of our funding through income, through fees, through different programs that we do, even though it's subsidized fees and subsidized charges. So it's important for us to think about, where is our business model now? Where do we want to move to in the future, particularly if we're having a challenge with fundraising? Then once you've now defined that, you now say, okay, so this here is what are the key things in my programs and the implementation model, alongside the people, the structure, the processes, and even the unique value proposition that will cost with that. And I will explain that in a bit more detail later. The third thing is then looking at our fund sources. And what I've done here is to do like a very high level of 3 funding sources that a nonprofit can look at. So the first is the obvious one for a lot of nonprofit organizations, is through grants. So you write an application to an organization and they give you a grant for a particular program. That is one example. Another example is through partnership funds. So sometimes, so there's a partner we have, for instance, it is not a grant. It is, they have a program, they want to do something on entrepreneurship in Nigeria, and they're looking at people who have expertise in implementing those programs, and then they partner with us to do it because they don't want to do it. So, and I've separated that from grants because more often than not, we think of grants in the most obvious ways of what we apply for. But quite a lot of times they're larger, and they're not just nonprofit organizations. Some of them are even corporates. They may be a bank, for instance. Some of us are doing work with banks or telecom companies or startups or fintech. Maybe they have a program, a project that they want to do, and they're looking for somebody to implement that program. That's where that comes from. And then in the last 5 years is crowdfunding, and that's really the amazing thing that Stellenbond has done through giving.ng, is saying that giving people a platform where they can reach out to individuals, to organizations, to so many resources within and outside of the country to support their work and their effort and raise grants with that. Before, maybe like 30, 40 years ago, some nonprofits like us would have done, let's do a dinner and all of that. Or the easy example for some of us that had to, I'm sure some of us when we were in primary school, maybe your school wanted to do like an entire sports competition, and they will give you a ticket stub, and then you would tear that ticket stub, give to your parents, your aunties, your cousins, 5 naira each. That is what crowdfunding has evolved to. So we've always had crowdfunding through those ticket stubs, right? But now we're crowdfunding through the internet. And what that allows us to do is that it allows us to reach people way beyond audiences that would have reached before. So that's a form. And then philanthropy. Philanthropy is just having maybe an individual who has some money, wants to support an organization or something, or even institutions, and then they give grants to that. The second type of fundraising source you have to think about is through income. And that's what I talked about. And nonprofits can generate income, albeit subsidized income and subsidized fees. So maybe you are doing programs. Some of us may even be doing programs that we charge a minimal amount of it. Some of us may even consult, because quite a lot of nonprofits also have expertise in certain areas. So a second thing that I will ask you to do is that you as a nonprofit, what area do you have an expertise in? And how can you even think of commercializing that? So if you have expertise in girl-child education, somebody may need help with designing a curriculum or support program for girl children. If you have expertise in health, particularly in the last 1 year, and maybe you have a health center project in some way, and somebody just wants to get an idea of, or how do you build health programs? Think of the expertise that you as an individual leading your program or nonprofit has, or your nonprofit has, and then think of if there are ways to do that. The other thing is you can also develop products. There's so much knowledge that we can share. There are a lot of courses. You can even develop courses on Udemy, on Coursera, on your area, on your focus area, on your focus knowledge, and then charge very minimal fees. And one of the great things about this is that because you're charging really, really below the rate fees, because again, it's not profit focused, it's just being able to charge very minimal fees for it. A lot of times your fees are very competitive as nonprofits because other people will charge significantly higher, but you are able to generate revenue from that. So what do you have in your hand? What knowledge do you have that you can develop a book, you can develop an e-learning course from it? As a nonprofit, as you begin to mature, I would suggest you start looking at also setting up an endowment, no matter how small it is, or an investment. So again, as we teach individuals, how do you set aside money for a rainy day or for a long term, and then you can generate the incomes from the interest. For this, you need to get a financial advisor or a financial expert to provide guidance on it. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you look at successful nonprofits that have been around for 20, 30, 50, 60, 100 years, even beyond the founder, there's a very strong investment strategy. Most schools in the US, Harvard, MIT, all of that, they have nonprofit status and they have endowments that set them up. So while you may not be able to do it now, it's something that you can think of on the long term and plan towards it. Then there are other income that you can generate. Some of us may have spaces. So for instance, some of you, maybe because of the program you do, you can have a room or a large space or a large outdoor area. You can rent that and generate something small. The third area I would say is in-kind support as a funding support. So a lot of times, if you notice, or I don't say money, I say funding support, because your funding can come in cash or it can come in kind. And more often than not, we underestimate the potential of in-kind. In-kind donation to faith, I think, is like maybe 10, 15% of how much we receive. And it's not just when people say, oh, donate laptops or whatever. Sometimes it's technical expertise around doing something. There's a project we did last year, over the last 2 years, and we had a partner donate their technical expertise, their technology knowledge to us. If we were going to pay for somebody to train that, to help us, and to do that, we probably will pay maybe like $20,000. But we got a partner to do that. So sometimes you may even be reaching out to a partner that they may not be able to give you money, but they can assign 1 or 2 of their staff to be able to develop an area you need, or to support you in an area that you need. That even if you had that money, you won't have been able to use it to get the quality of the impact that they can give. So think of a technical knowledge or area gap that you may have in your organization that another partner can provide for you in a pro bono way, and really also help you save money. Then there are the obvious ones around tools, resources, so work tools, software. All of us, see, we're doing this session, we're doing it digitally. You know, a number of us have had to get Zoom license. Zoom is not cheap. And you know, you don't want to be doing 45-minute Zoom sessions. Some of us we are not Stellenbond that we can have like unlimited access to Zoom. So where can you get free or subsidized software support? When you're looking for a software, every time we need a software, and our software budget has increased in the last 4 or 5 years, and also last year, look and see if you can get a non-profit version or non-profit payment. I know that there's I'll remember it just before we leave, there's a Tech Soup that does like that. They have to, so there's something called Tech Soup. I will remember, and I'll put it on the chat screen, where they have access to so many software licenses, but they need to verify that you're a non-profit and then give you access to it. So again, some of the software things you need or tools you need, you may also be able to get access to it, and then obviously time. So as you develop your fundraising strategy, now that you've looked at your income areas, the first thing you need to do is you need to look at these 3 areas and say, which is the one that is most likely. So one of the things we've done at Faith Foundation is to say, which one is the most priority for us? Is it grants? Is it income? And by priority is that the one we know we can get the most of. Because some of this, in fact, the way our fundraising strategy is, all of this, we've divided it, and everything sort of has like a percentage point in terms of, maybe philanthropy, we're only getting 10%, but maybe program grants is like 40%. So know the one that is the main fund driver for your organization, and then now start to do a mapping. So there was something we did like 3 years ago, and something we've done every year, but I think the last time we really did an extensive one was 3 years ago, is to say from all these sources, where can I start to get the funding from? Particularly for like program grants, partnerships, philanthropy. Obviously, the conversation we have now around crowdfunding will make it easier. So where can you get this source from? And then rate them. And then now do research. A lot of the partners we have now is us just going online and finding out. And that's why my conversation around your key impact indicators is very important, because sometimes the way we articulate our programs is different from how a partner may name the programs, right? But you want to be able to say, what are the keywords I need? And then who are the partners that are doing it locally and internationally? And then another way to look at is look at comparator organizations in your field. Who is funding them, right? And if you are seeing who is funding them, you can go and research them. So that's also an easier way to do. When you find a funding partner and you find it online, go and look and now find who are they funding? Why are they funding them? You know, it's almost like somebody is giving somebody money that I want to get money from that person too. Why is this person giving that person money? So I want to go and say, for the people I'm targeting, the institutions I'm targeting, the people they've invested, why? What is the criteria they're looking at and all of that? Because a number of times, some of us are not prepared, but we send a fundraising plan or fundraising letter, but we've not done all our due diligence. We've not researched. We don't know all the points or the areas. We don't know what they will fund and what they will not fund, you know? And then we're asking questions that really we should know before we reach out to them. And then now identify the requirements that you will need for fundraising. And what does that mean? Sometimes fundraising is not, like I said at the end, it's a long-term thing. In fact, the bigger funds we have now, some of them took like 2 years to just, or in fact, another one took like 3 years, because you have to just invest. You have to, it's like almost like getting into a relationship. You have to understand them, they have to understand you, they have to find trust in you, they have to believe that you can do it and all of that. And then now develop a plan. And in my opinion, it should not be less than 3 years, preferably a 5-year plan. So we have a 5-year plan, fundraising plan that we're on. So develop a 3 to 5 year plan. But now set milestones to say at the end of year 1, this is what we should achieve. Year 2, this is what we should achieve. Be clear about your KPIs and goals, and then who is going to be responsible for each of the steps, you know. The other thing is that even in your larger budget as a business, your fundraising strategy also needs to be budgeted for. So for instance, I may be reaching out to a fundraising partner. I may need to send them materials. I may need to mail it to them, all of that. Do you understand? There needs to be a budget for direct or indirect fundraising needs that you will do. Some of us may set up a web page, that, or some of us may even put up a brochure. You know, we want to put like a program brochure around your organization that has infographics, that has pictures, all of that. Some of us may do videos. All of that costs something. So for every nonprofit, if I look in your budget for this year, for 2021, will I see a line that goes into fundraising? And then at the end of the year, if I am sitting on your board, I want to know how much you spent on on fundraising and what that has translated to. Have frequent check-in. So for instance, we have a very, very efficient board. We've always had. In our fundraising strategy, every board meeting we have every quarter, the board wants to know what were we supposed to have achieved by fundraising, how much have you achieved, how much has the team been able to achieve with that. So make sure that you are checking in to say, this is going well. Why is this going well? Why did this partner fund? Do you understand? Or it is not going well. Do we need to revise our strategy? And then you evaluate. Again, you have to be patient. You have to build. Sometimes it may be that you get 50,000 naira today. 2 months from now, you're able to raise 200,000 naira. 6 months, you're able to raise 1 million naira. Build on that. What people want to see is that you've shown traction. So sometimes a funder will give you money that is way more than you've ever received. But the reason they're giving it to you because they've seen that over the past 2 to 3 years, you've been able to build traction on that. And in that, I will round up because what are some of the critical success factors is that your financial reporting has to be very clear. There is nothing that raises alarm bells that you don't keep your books, you don't keep your records. A lot of Nigerian nonprofits, and NNGO needs to look in this, don't put their financial statements online. If you go to Faith Foundation website now, you go to our About, you will see our audited statement. So we've had partners who have reached out to us because maybe somebody referred them to us, they went to our website and they saw our audited account statements up till last year. It's there. So make sure that you're diligent in your management reports, but make sure you also have an auditor. And by the way, a lot of audit companies or audit firms would also audit you pro bono as a nonprofit. Make sure that you have corporate governance. You are never too small as a nonprofit not to have a board. The second question people ask me after, how have you managed your money? Let's see your financial statements to show proof of financial accountability. The second is governance. Who is the management team responsible to? Who is your chairman or chairperson? Who are the people on your board? If you have credible people, and some of us say, I can't start it, but have an advisory team, have an advisory group of people. People have to see that you as an organization, you are responsible. You have fiduciary responsibilities to people who are responsible to the organization. The third is explore digital efforts. You cannot, the same way you have to be financially literate, you have to be digitally literate too. You understand? And that's the great thing around the platform that Giving.ng has, because there's so many opportunities around now how to fundraise. There's even Giving Tuesday. There's so many ways that you can fundraise, but you won't know if you don't try. So another platform you can go to is Philanthropy U. So Philanthropy University, they do a lot of courses for nonprofits, including a lot of fundraising ones. Number 4, you have to be able to tell your stories. I remember I saw one NGO that was run by a friend. I think this was about 6 years ago. She said, she wanted to do a proposal that I should look at it, that they've not been able to get any success with their proposal. I looked at it and I said, this is why you're not getting money, because your proposal is boring. It's like all those World Bank proposals of days. So what is important is that when you're developing your fundraising request or letter or proposal, find out what partners want. I have some partners that have supported us. They want detailed Word proposals, Microsoft Word, reports kind of proposal. But those are getting fewer and far between. Most of the corporates that their foundations are supporting programs now, they want high level, they want graphics, they want pictures, they want They want numbers. Do you understand? It's almost like a pitch deck. One of the things I put here is business pitch skills. Do you understand? They want to be able to see. In fact, I remember one particular partner, he said, not more than 10 slides. You can't have more than 3 bullet points on your slides. We want imagery. We want to be able to experience what you will do with the funds when we give you. So your ability to tell the stories of what you've done and what you will do if they partner with you is very, very important. So having people in your team or people that partner with you, this is another thing you can even get pro bono, who are able to design effective proposal plans or presentations and outline is important. And also being able to measure your impact. You are not too small to show impact. If you've been around for 6 months, you can articulate your impact in a very clear, very structured, very visual, and very pertinent way. Again, that impact would relate to your theory of change that I talked about. And then the last 3 things, you know, as a nonprofit, you must be able to show that you're diverse, you're inclusive, your programs have reach. So if you're not for instance, if you're not a female-focused organization, how are you encouraging diversity and inclusion in your organization, in your target beneficiaries, you know? Who is responsible for fundraising in your organization? It can be everybody's responsibility, but more oftentimes, even the program manager and or the head of the foundation or the nonprofit also has to be responsible for it. But have somebody else apart from the lead who also is responsible for that. Or you can even have people to say, okay, in everything that you do in a year, my team members, 10% of the activities they do in a year have to be involved in fundraising. And I've talked about being able to pitch, because that I have seen in the last 3 years, a lot of nonprofits pitch, like you will see a startup pitch for it. So it's not a bad skill to be able to have, because if a lot of funders, when they're sitting in front of you, they want to be able to say, I need to be able to see how the investment, the support we give, finance or non-finance wise, is going to be able to impact. And the ability of the head of the nonprofit to be able to, or the nonprofit itself to be able to share that impact with me and pitch it to me may even be a winning scenario for me. So like I said, it's a very short time and I've pretty much rushed this presentation. I will share it, and I'm sure all those that have registered will get. But thank you very much to everyone for listening.
Wow. Let me thank you, Mrs. Adenike Adeyemi, for such a very great presentation. My notes are full already, starting from the need for us to know that OWO is the vehicle for Inyere, and the need for us to clarify our strategy, to the need for nonprofits not to run at a loss, but to ensure that we are revenue generating also, and to manage those revenues very well. I liked your last thoughts around governance and the need for us to ensure that our finances our reports are on our websites. I like your thoughts also around diversity and inclusion, and this speaks to issues around gender, disabilities also. Including the need for storytelling. All of these have resonated so well. And I'm sure colleagues would have questions at this time. On the call, we have at this time 146 participants. While you were presenting, the participants were oscillating between 130, 150, and 151. So colleagues, if you have questions, let's do it this way. I can already see 2 hands. This would be for some 5 minutes, and I'll be very strict with our 5 minutes now so that we can run to Mrs. Ibekwe. If you have your questions, type them out in the chat box, but I will take the 3 hands that I'm seeing at this time. I would let them quickly ask their questions, starting with Stella Olubumi Francis, and please do this for 30 seconds. So that we can be able to cover a much larger frame. So, Madam Olubumi Stella Francis, please allow me to just call names. So I don't use Mr. or Mrs. Please allow me, for the purposes of this moderation. Stella Olubumi Francis, please. Please unmute yourself and ask your question for 30 seconds. Okay, we can't hear you. I probably would move to someone else. Adamu Sulaiman, please unmute yourself and ask your question, please. Can they unmute themselves, the moderator? Can you please confirm if they can unmute themselves or you have to unmute them?
I'll check that now.
Okay, please do. Otherwise, while we're checking with that, I must also mention that Mrs. Adeyemi also noted that when we're looking for software, we should look for those that have non-profit version. I'm happy to tell you that we have a partnership with TechSoup, and we are their Nigerian representative for that process. We've been marketing it for like God knows how many years. So if you need information on that, I'll type out my colleague's email who directly works on that so that she can provide you some thoughts on that. Are we good to go? Stella Olubumi Francis, can you please unmute and quickly ask your question?
They can unmute now and they'll be heard.
Okay, all right, okay. So Stella Olubumi Francis, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Otherwise, I'll go to the chat box. Mrs. Adeyemi, someone would like to know how they can reach out to you. So. Okay,
yes. So if you can reach out to me directly by email, adenikeadeyemi@faithfoundation.org.
Okay, that's it. adenikeadeyemi@faithfoundation.org. There you go. Okay, Madam Stella, please just type your question. Then, if you can't find where to unmute, just type your question. Yeah. Adamu Sulaiman, please, can you unmute yourself? Otherwise, I would encourage you to also type out your question, please. And like she has said, all of you would have a copy of our presentation. And I do hope that you follow through on that presentation. It's very rich and it has a lot of tips on how we can advance this conversation going forward. Okay, we don't seem to have, I think participants can't unmute themselves. Abisoya Joseph, can you unmute yourself?
Sorry, there's a question in the Q&A that I can answer by an anonymous attendee who says, how does a small NGO create a corporate governance, create a board for corporate governance? So oftentimes we always think very complicated that, oh, to create a board, I must be a large business or whatever. The first thing I will say is that as an NGO, the easiest way to create a board for yourself is to look at the key requirements you need. You don't even need more than 5 people, for instance, to start with. So as a board, you need somebody that has financial knowledge, for instance. So find somebody who has done ICANN, ACCA, who has had like 5 to 8 years experience, particularly if you're a very non-profit, a small organization that can even provide you with financial management expertise. But more often than not, because we are small non-profits, we can't even hire maybe a very experienced financial manager. So get somebody that has that. That's number one. Number two, you can now look at other areas that may become of need to you. So get somebody that maybe has relationships or understands the Nigerian environment and just knows different things about different people. So they're able to point you in different directions. You can look for somebody that is also a lawyer, because a lot of times we also require like legal knowledge, legal support, and all of that with it. And then a lawyer can provide you with regulatory guidance. I know something that NNGO really helps with is around knowledge on SCUML. A lot of people don't know anything about SCUML until EFCC SCUML writes to them to say, oh, you're not compliant. So get a legal person who can provide that to you. And then get somebody that has like marketing or communications or digital technology skills. So again, you can look and say, what are the key skills and key knowledge that I require? And then getting people who have expertise in this. Sometimes some of us will be reaching out to very busy people to do that. Within our network, we can find people with 8 to 10 years experience who can provide that knowledge and who would even be available for us to be able to do that. If your nonprofit has a particular expertise, maybe entrepreneurship, health, education, women, get somebody that has some experience within that knowledge area that you have. And then help them, send them a letter, dear so and so, I would like to help to set up a board. If you don't want to set up a board immediately, you can start with an advisory board for about 1 to 2 years to even understand how the dynamics are and all all of that, and just send them a letter and requesting for you to provide pro bono service to me. I would like us to meet twice a year, 3 times a year. And you also have to tell them, oh, you'll be required to meet, to give us 2 hours once a quarter, so they know the requirements. We can do virtual meeting and all of that. If you're not going to pay them, which a lot of us probably are not, tell them this will be pro bono, it's voluntary, and would appreciate that. Most people would work on your board if you are serious, with them. And then when you do your first meeting, share with them your financial report, let them give you feedback. If they ask you to work on something, go back and work on it. When it's time for the next board meeting, 2 months before then, send a reminder. It's like that. That's how you build it. That's how you build it. With that, every one of us learns, even my board, we've evolved over, I joined Faith 6 years ago. It has evolved over the years, and we keep learning and expanding. But if you don't implement it, you won't be able to do it. The last thing is that there's a book by Leap Africa called Get On Board. And so you can pick up that book, and I'll type it in the chat. Get On Board. That's a simple resource that is for small businesses and nonprofits in being able to set up a board.
Again, thank you so much, Mrs. Adeyemi. There's a lot we can tap from your 18 years experience working on nonprofit management. And you said it all. There's a need for us all to evolve and to keep learning. So once again, let me thank you for this very excellent presentation. Again, we would ensure that all participants on this call have access to that presentation. And she has also been kind enough to share her email address. So you can always reach out to her, but understand that she'll be busy and she might not be able to come around to you like immediately. But then I'm sure she would also be happy to mentor as much as possible many young nonprofits on this call. Now, having said that, let me move to another panelist, and this time to Mrs. Olakweju Ibekwe, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Stellenbond Foundation, an organization that seeks to cause massive changes in our society in accordance with the Sustainable Development Goals. Mrs. Ibekwe, you have our attention, please. Oh, okay. Sorry, can you hear me? For a moment, we had a coup, but the government is back to my hands now. Mrs. Ibekwe, please unmute and go ahead.
Yes, it's better now. I just succeeded in unmuting myself. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Oyebisi, and thank you very much for the opportunity for this session. So I'll be switching devices very soon. But in the meantime, I must say thank you, Mrs. Adeyemi. That was a very, very rich and loaded session that I think even NGOs that have done 2 decades can really, really learn and glean knowledge from. So the moderator will be showing my slides very soon. But while that is ongoing, I think I'll just go straight to the meat of the matter. And I'll take it from the button from where Mrs. Adenike dropped it, and that is on crowdfunding. Who are we? Mr. Oyebisi had mentioned earlier, Give.ng is Nigeria's foremost crowdfunding platform. And it is the only crowdfunding platform in Nigeria that offers free services to non-profits, alumni associations, or individuals that seek to raise funds for their social impact projects. And this project can be in any sector at all. So all you have to do to crowdfund on Giving.ng is to register. You can register as an individual. You can register as a registered non-profit organization today. And it's as easy as ABC. And I will just go straight to the grants. We have grants on Giving.ng up to 1 million naira for social impact projects in the following critical sectors. How do you register? Let me just go ahead and make this session as interactive as possible. All you have to do is visit the website www.giving.ng, and you will see the register button right in your face, and you just click on it. It's as simple as ABC, like I mentioned before. And once you register, you put in first and foremost on the first page, you put in the details of the not-for-profit organization, the registered organization. On the second page, it would ask for your personal details, so we know who is registering on behalf of the organization. Once you get in, then you upload your documents. The reason is that we want to be sure of who we're dealing with. We are very particular about integrity, and we think it is extremely critical. Of course, because of our environment, we do not want we want the genuine people to access this fund. So we would like to see your registration documents, confirm that you actually are registered and the government recognizes you as registered. And on the basis of that, once your profile is approved, you can start raising funds on the platform. Now to the grants, which is the juicy part. We have grants available for projects within the health, education, food sufficiency, and renewable energy sectors. I'll take that again. We have grants available for the health, education, renewable energy, and I'll use food security sectors. These grants are up to 1 million naira available for your use, and it's for social impact projects within the sectors. What other things do you require to be able to access these grants? First, you must be registered, due diligence. We have to be sure that you are registered and you're genuine, number one. Number two, we also need to be sure that your project is also a genuine project. That's two. Sorry, there might be some issues with the audio. I'm changing devices. Just a moment, please. Thank you very much. I think I'm fine now. Can you all hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Can.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Loud and clear.
Fantastic. Great. So yes, you can take it from where I stopped. Once you're registered, you have your project in the health, education, renewable energy, or food security sectors, and you're able to get up to 100 people to donate towards your cause. And then finally, the amount you need is 1 million naira or less. You immediately qualify for the Giving.ng grants. So I'll give a simple example. For example, you need 2 million naira to provide a borehole in a community, and you have succeeded in raising 1 million naira from 100 donors. Because provision of water falls within the health sector because it's critical for good health. Giving.ng can provide 1 million naira for you to complete that project, and we can give it to you as a grant. So we call our grants finishing grants, or I'll use the word completion grants. So yes, that is how you're able to access the giving grants, and the grants are available like right now. All you have to do, like I said before, you register on the platform, you upload your documents for us to confirm that you're a valid organization. Once the due diligence checks are done, then you are able to raise funds on the platform. You can raise funds for whatever project that you're interested in. And though I have mentioned the giving grant as my priority, I must also establish here that you can raise funds for any project at all on the Giving.ng platform, any project at all, provided it is to reduce poverty and to eliminate poverty in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Definitely, you can raise funds on Giving.ng. So you don't have to have the grants. Even if you don't get the grants, one other unique thing about Giving.ng is that all the funds you raise go to you. Giving.ng is the only crowdfunding platform in Nigeria today that gives you all the funds you raise on it. If any amount is taken from it, probably will be bank charges or charges from the payment gateway. But every fund you raise on our platform, to the last kobo, goes to your project. That's the first thing. The second thing about Giving.ng is that it has multiple donation options. So you can get funds using USSD, pay by bank, pay by card. I'm just going to run through my slides. I had done a bit, but I think Madam Adenike has done much more than justice to the platform, to the topic of discourse. So yes, this is a view of what Giving.ng looks like. It's fundraising for causes and people you care about. And like I mentioned earlier, for that question, you see just right beside Donate Now is register. So you can register on it like today. So for you, I've spoken to this already, you can raise funds for your projects. You can have access to a network of donors. So those that come to visit the platform can also get interested in your cause and donate towards it. You can access grants from us. I've spoken to that. You will get brand visibility and the web page. We have NGOs that have already raised funds on our platform. We have the Cancer Foundation. We raise funds on Giving.ng for Destiny, a 15-year-old boy that had cancer. He's better now. St. Cyril Cancer Foundation raised funds for Chijioke this year, a 5-year-old that had cancer. She's better today. And we're just grateful that the funds are actually achieving the objective. So it's not just about funds, it's about better health for those that the funds are being raised for, and that is happening. Clever Minds Foundation is one of those that are the first beneficiaries of our grants. They've gotten 1 million naira grant from Giving.ng already. Apropos Doctor on Twitter, I'm sure most of us that are on the Twitter streets know him. His project is currently on Giving.ng. And then recently, we raised funds for a beach cleanup project that was started by Mr. Bakar Suleiman, the MD of Stellenbond. That project was actually just executed last Saturday at Alpha Beach. These funds were raised on Giving.ng and they are successful. Apropos Doctor still gave out a wheelchair to someone like last week or 2 weeks ago from the funds raised on our platform. So we invite you to come to the Giving.ng platform. I've spoken to the sectors, I've spoken to the donors, I've spoken to the background checks already. And then what I will just add based on this slide is there has to be detailed regular reporting with project updates and status, because we also have to report to our board at Giving.ng. Any project we're supporting, we have to make due reports to our board. And I think Mrs. Adenike Adeyemi stressed on that also. We have to be seen as transparent. And whoever is going to be partnering with us that is a beneficiary of our grants also has to align with that. And for crowdfunding, I just thought I should emphasize this. Crowdfunding is not just about putting up a project and then relaxing that, okay, my funds will come. No. The first thing, earlier on in my slides, I had mentioned that it's critical when you want to raise funds to cultivate a community. And this community can start from our friends, our family, our board. Like
Madam Adeyemi had mentioned. And then on social media, develop your Facebook page, your Twitter handle, your Instagram handle, and let those that are interested in what you currently do get attracted to you. So once that is done, once you put up your project, before we go, I'm going to show you a live demo on the Giving platform. Once you put up your project, there's actually opportunity for you to go ahead and share. You can share on Facebook, you can share on Twitter, you can share on LinkedIn, you can share on WhatsApp, like immediately on the platform. So once you share to so many of us are in different WhatsApp groups, so it's easy for you to quickly spread the word. Anyone that is interested in your course can support you and give towards that project. So you communicate your progress, of course, to your community, so they will know how successful. Everybody wants to associate with progress, and they want to see how the progress. Okay, we've achieved 100 million naira. Yes, we've achieved 200 million naira. We've achieved 300 million naira, depending on the target amount you want to achieve. You communicate the results, reporting, like I mentioned, and then you appreciate your community, because the fact that you raise funds today doesn't mean you won't raise funds more. Excuse me. So when you partner with Giving.ng, we will give you communication support. So excuse me. we would execute the project with you. We can execute the project with you. We will give you brand visibility, leveraging on our platforms and our partners. We have a number of partners. I'm going to take you back to the slide that has our partners. And it also enhances your reputation on your ability to deliver value to your donors and to the community. I had mentioned before that we had quite a number of partners since Giving.ng started. We have, these are our partners. We have Stellenbond as a partner, Cerebridge, Hyjai, HMO, quite a number of media houses. Yes, Nigerian Network of NGOs is our partner on this webinar also. We have the Nigerian Economic Summit Group as our partner, Today's Woman Magazine. We have quite a number of partners. So it would only do your project good when you work with us and partner with us on whichever project you want to execute. So I will just take us right for a short demo of Giving. While the platform my laptop seems to be slow, but at this point, I think I'm ready to take questions. I'm ready to take questions.
Okay, hello. All right, good. I thought you were still making your presentation. That's excellent, Mrs. Ibekwe. Can you hear us? I think your system has frozen. Hello, Mrs. Ibekwe, can you hear us? Or can you hear me? I think we lost our connection. Hello? So while she's trying to reconnect, I think I was excited hearing that there's a finish-up grant of 1 million naira. That excites me a lot. I do know that can do a lot in the work that we do as nonprofits. I did also hear that on Giving.ng, we can all get on top that platform and fundraise free of charge. For the platforms that I do know, a fee is deducted from the money you have raised on their platform. But for Giving.ng, what I hear is that that is not the case. You have access to your money 110%. And that the finish-up grant or the finishing grant is tilted towards some sectors, but you can raise money for any sector as much as possible. The focus of the finishing grant is towards health, education, green energy, and also I think I missed the fourth one. I keep missing the fourth one. But Mrs. Ibekwe is here. She's back. And please, if you have any question for her, let's try whether our mic would work once again. Otherwise, we will do the chat, the question or the chat box. And I already have some questions on the chat box for Mrs. Ibekwe already. Mrs. Ibekwe, can you just check your mic so that I know you can hear me? Hello, Mrs. Ibekwe, can you hear me?
No.
Oh boy.
I think she's coming on.
Yeah. Maybe you want to mute your video. Is that the right word? Do you mute videos or you shut down your video? Maybe you want to shut down your video so that you can have some bandwidth for us. I think the technology where you are isn't that strong, so that you can have some bandwidth to take a voice bit. So can you just confirm that you can hear us so that I can take the questions now? There are a lot of hands for you already.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I hope there are no 150 hands here today. Okay, Mrs. Ibekwe, just check your mic so that I know you can hear us. Because you are the reason why we are here today. You are the one with the big pause. After learning how to fundraise,
Okay, maybe just before she comes on,
okay.
I can take one or two questions.
Excellent, excellent. I like that. Thanks for jumping in, Halima. So Halima Baba works with Mrs. Ibekwe, and she would also do some justice to the questions.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a very straight and interesting one. Someone said, thanks for the information. Just curious how giving.ng makes money.
Okay, we make, we are grant makers, but we also seek grants from grant makers that give grants to organizations like us. So there are certain types of grants that we get because of our co-funding and co-granting approach. So we have a co-granting approach and a co-funding approach. And some categories of donors will give grants to Stellenbond Foundation.
Okay, so if I hear you very well, that means that some people give you the money to give to us. So you're just like a conduit.
And then we have partnerships from, as you already know, Stellenbond gives us annual grants to be able to drive these social impact projects. As the grants and research lead, I can tell you for free that we co-fund and co-grant, and that's why we're able to grant NGOs.
Okay, thank you very much. Someone is saying that they tried registering on the platform recently, but they kept getting a feedback that their password has expired. Even though they tried working through it with Mrs. Ibekwe, it's still the same problem. How do they go around that?
Okay, I'll advise that so when we send the presentations, we'll send an email or a number they can call, and then we can escalate to the technical team. It's usually not, so it's just a downtime on the application. So, as our partner, that there have been a lot of successful registrations. And so when we have such issues, we just need to escalate to the technical team, and then they'll solve that problem. And I really, if they can send the message on this chat, and then I would just be able to communicate with them afterwards.
Okay, all right. So I'm sure they're listening and they'll pick that up. Someone is asking, can non-registered NGOs who have a track record partner with Giving.ng, non-registered as emphasis?
Well, for you to be able to access grants, you must be registered with the CAC and should be registered with Triple NGO.
Okay, all right. So can
we work in a systematic way. So we believe that any of the NGOs registered with you must be registered already with the Corporate Affairs Commission.
So the golden rule is that you must be registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. So can I ask colleagues to please, type in their questions here? I think we're able to manage it more better that way. Type your questions in the question and answer box, and we'll be able to save some bandwidth so that we can all enjoy this meeting. Another person would like to know, my foundation offsets the health bill of needy patients in public hospitals. We usually don't have a target patient, but select randomly on visit to hospitals. Do we qualify for the Sterling grant?
Yes, of course. Health is one of our critical sectors. They qualify, but if you pick from what Mrs. Adeyemi had said, already said in her presentation, and what Mrs. Bekwe said, you would know that you must be able to aggregate what problems you're trying to solve. So moving from one hospital to the other to offset patients' bills, whilst it might be a compassionate gesture, but what problem are you really solving? Is it sustainable? Is it scalable? Are you going to go around? So you must put your thoughts together and have like a proposition that makes it partnership worthy, so to say.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so I think Mrs. Ibekwe is back.
Yes, I just noticed. Can we check your mic, Mrs. Ibekwe? Can we check your mic?
Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you loud and clear. Welcome back to the party.
So I could hear you all the while, though.
Okay, brilliant. So let me, if you have addition to some of the questions Mrs. Baba has answered, you can jump on that. But let me ask you this direct question from one of the attendees. Do I have to reach 100 donors on your platform before I can receive a grant?
Yes.
Okay, all right, that's a straight one.
So
someone said,
so I would also, let me also mention the caveat to that. The caveat to that is, if it is an emergency and it is within the grant amount, we can actually take it up immediately. For example, a child needs 100,000 naira, and if he doesn't get that 100,000 naira, he probably will die in the next 2 hours. I bring it on my platform, I'm going to take up the entire cost immediately. Because that's a matter of life and death, and what exactly are we existing for if we can't save life? So we are about saving lives. So if it is an emergency that comes on the platform, it gets immediate attention. We probably will not even wait for other donors to contribute towards it. For health emergency, we deal with it immediately within what we can accommodate within our grant ban. We deal with it immediately and we take it up and we meet that need immediately.
Oh, brilliant.
That is
brilliant. Excellent. So another participant would like to know, you mentioned that it's only for finishing and not for startups. What if my finishing cost is above 1 million naira?
So then it doesn't fall within the requirements of our grant. So it's this way, we will scale, we will grow, and we're just starting this out. So like Halima had mentioned, she had said we have partners that provide these funds. But you also understand that it's almost like you're investing in a business, like Mrs. Adenike had mentioned.
when I'm investing in a business, I start with the startup funds. By the time I will now scale gradually, and by the time I'm able to deliver results from the initial investments, then it's almost like the biblical story of the talent. It's the one that is faithful in little that will get much. So right now, our little is a ₦1 million cap.
Okay, all right, good. Someone is asking, can we send random proposal to Give.ng for partnership? And how do we reach out for such partnerships?
It depends what random proposals mean. Let me establish here that Giving.ng, the investors in Giving.ng is Stellenbond Foundation. So such proposals can come to Stellenbond Foundation. And because Giving.ng is largely a crowdfunding platform. So can proposals be sent? Yes. Proposals can be sent to info@onefoundation.ng.
Okay, all right, good. So let me also remind attendees that if you have any question, please type it out and send in the Q&A chat box. And let me also escalate to the chat room and see whether there are some thoughts there for me. But I'll prefer we use the Q&A session. So someone is saying that we're looking to raise funds for a school for solar project. And it's a project with total value of 200 million. Would we still be able to use Giving.ng?
Why not? Giving.ng is a crowdfunding platform. So you can raise funds of whatever amount on the platform. If you want to raise funds up to ₦1 billion, you can raise on Giving.ng. So it's a crowdfunding platform. Let us just establish that first. The grants we're giving is an add-on, but it's a crowdfunding platform. So whatever funds you want to raise, you can raise on Giving.ng.
Okay, good. Someone wants to clarify. Do you mean 100% or 1 million naira, or both before one can access the grant?
Okay, so I'll go through that again. To access the grants on Giving.ng, once you cross the hurdle of the focus sector, because we're focusing on critical sectors, then, and you get 100 donors to be able to donate to your project. It is not about the amount. And then finally, the amount you need to finish that project is $1 million or less.
Okay, brilliant.
Then
so
you can access the grants.
Excellent. Someone is asking, can a social enterprise register on Giving.ng?
Definitely. And there was another question about a non-registered NGO. That question came up. So you can raise funds in your individual capacity if you're not a registered, because I cannot recognize an NGO that is not registered. But as an individual that is passionate, like I mentioned, if I go to the hospital now and I can see a woman that has a set of twins and they can't release them because they can't pay hospital bill and they need 200,000 naira, and I have 50,000 naira, I need 150,000 naira to make it up. I can go on Giving.ng, raise it, put in my 50,000 naira, share the link with my friends, and say, support, this person needs help, and I would like you to support me too.
Okay, good. I think your line has frozen again.
Make it happen today. Really? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, so what I was saying is I can share the link with my friends and crowdfund for that purpose, because it's something I'm personally passionate about. It's for social impact. And yes, so in your personal capacity can be done.
Okay, brilliant. I think someone is raising a very good question to the issue of NGOs registrations with Corporate Affairs Commission. And I'll read the question directly. Hi, can a non-registered NGO or network get a registered fiscal sponsor who is registered and is a member of Triple NGO to partner with and apply for the grant? Will that work?
I think that question is for you, sir.
No. It's for your. Okay, so the hurdle is the person is a member of the network. So that's the hurdle. That's second hurdle. The first hurdle is that organization must be registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. but in this case, they are not registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. Can they work with another organization that is registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission as partners? Then, they can now,
So what it means is that the organization we will recognize will be the registered organization.
Okay. All right.
So that means that it is the registered organization that would register on giving.ng, upload their documents. But they can raise funds, and then both of them can maximize their network to be able to raise the funds, and the project is executed successfully or fine.
So technically, I mean, that is saying that it can work, but that would be an internal arrangement between the two organizations. But the organization,
which is independent of giving.ng. But the requirements of giving.ng will be met.
Okay, someone is asking, aside registering with CAC, what other requirements do we need to be qualified for the grants?
So we need your CAC registration. We need the valid means of identification of the promoters of the organization. Those are the two that are critical. The other things you have mentioned about SCOMOL and all that will be very good add-ons. But we also understand that Mr. ABC is currently doing a lot of work in educating all of us NGOs on SCOMOL and that. And we know that not everybody has completely aligned to that. Yes, but your registration document and your valid means of identification are the thing, because we want to know who we're dealing with.
Okay, excellent. So I have someone, and I want to round this up by 2:30 on the dot. So I'll take this one or two more questions, and then we can wrap up gradually. Again, colleagues, if you have questions, please type them in the Q&A box so that I'll see whether I can manage the 8 minutes or less that we have at this time. Someone is saying, and I'll read it again directly. Good afternoon, and thank you for the platform. This is for your technical guide. On behalf of the foundation, I signed up on the platform and proceeded to the cost dashboard. A cost was raised, and I got a prompt that the cost will be reviewed for approval. I went back to the platform 48 hours after. Interestingly, the cost was no longer showing on our dashboard. This happened after 2 different times. Please guide us on where to go.
Can you please share your details with us? I'd actually need to deal with it immediately after that.
Okay, that person is Wura Olakayode. Madam Wura Olakayode, can you please share your contact with giving so that, yeah. Another person is saying, I run a profit-driven organization. However, I have a CSR project for MSMEs in Nigeria. Would this qualify for raising funds on giving.ng?
Yes, it's a social impact project. Yes, it will qualify for raising funds on giving.ng. We'll just need to understand what the project, so what giving.ng just wants to be sure of is, because the donating public are trusting us. So we also just need to be sure that the funds raised on our platform are going to be used for the purpose for which they're going to be used for.
Okay, brilliant. So there's a question that says, can you tell us about the registration with Triple NGO? Please go to www.triplengo.org, click on membership, and all the information you need is actually on that website, so that I don't take your time. I would also type out the website in the chat box shortly. Someone is saying, I have a new registered organization that supports children living with disabilities from disadvantaged homes who are not financially strong to get walking aids and devices for this child to live independently. Can your organization help to fund or assist this kind of initiative? Oh, looks like we lost Mrs. Ibekwe again. Madam Alima, do you want to take this up?
Yes, I can. I hope she comes back soon. So the question was to raise funds for
children with disability, helping them to be able to.
So yes, we're very passionate about health, especially maternal and child health. And anything around there, we will be very happy to have you on the platform. If you go through Triple NGO, and then you can do your registration afterwards, that would be great. The reason we say Triple NGO is because that sort of gives you an accelerated onboarding to us. Our partnership makes it so. So if you can register with Mr. Yebisi is the best person to talk to. And I think they have a website, a platform. You can register with them and then have direct access to registering with us. In about 48 hours, you could get your fundraising ongoing. For those, our thematic area for health is focused on primary health care and preventive health. And for children and maternal health is top on our priority. So that's a yes, you can raise funds.
Okay, just to also quickly note that your coming through Triple NGO is just a sort of guarantee for the system as a whole. For us, we do not have any requirement beyond the fact that we know you, we know your work. We can guarantee the work that you do, and we can also vouch for you and say you will use these funds judiciously. No any other strong process beyond that for us as Triple N. And we've done we're saying this is, we're trying to guarantee our members, all right? We understand the process can be a bit, when you want to raise money now, you know the security that comes from it. So what we've done as a negotiation is to say for our own members, we would find a way of guaranteeing them so that they can have seamless access to the Giving Energy platform. So that's why you keep finding the word, if you're registered with Triple N. So the last question 2 minutes to go. So let me take this one question where we answer it in like 30 seconds, then we can run. Mrs. Ibekwe will share contact. I think it's info at something, I'm not sure. She would share it. And also you can pick up conversations with them. The presentations would also be shared with all participants on this call today. The last question I'm going to ask is, good afternoon. We are an environment-focused NGO, and we're intending to put a proper structure in our organization in terms of good governance. We need guidance on choice of board members. By this, can we ask for this from your organization? Then also, how do we get access to the book you earlier talked about? Oh, I think this is referring to Mrs. Adeyemi and presentation. Sure. I am sure she dropped her email in the chat box. Please check her email and you should be able to get that sorted. The other one is also for Faith Foundation. Again, please check the chat box. I think our email is adenikaadeyemi@faithfoundation.org. Please check, but we would also ensure that when we're sending you a report of the conversation, we share that with you. It's 1 minute to go. And let me thank Giving.ng. Let me thank Faith Foundation, especially Mrs. Adenike and Mrs. Olakpeju Ibekwe and Mrs. Alima Baba for their support and for making this happen. Let me also thank the 151 participants, as of the last time I checked, that participated, and we have 129 here now. Please note that we'll keep this conversation going. We will be very much aggressive in terms of how our members and civil society organizations in general can fundraise for their work. Evidence has shown that the most sustainable funding model is when you raise funds from citizens, from friends, from families, from relatives, and from philanthropists who are willing to donate. And Giving Energy provides us this facility. Having said that, I would ask that you all enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the week, and please continue to do the good work that you do across communities in Nigeria. We are proud of you. And thanks for coming along. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Thank you, Halima.
Yeah, your network. But I think we got the entire questions. We can collate it and maybe send.